Hello, my name is Alan, and this evening in my time, I'm facilitating the third of 4 sessions of my PBTA game of Dark Age monster hunting, Eotenweard. This game is organised as part of the monthly events calendar that's attached to the Gauntlet RPG community. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, then please look us up. You'll find podcasts, you'll find zines, you'll find publishing, you'll find great people to play with, as I am blessed with tonight. I'm going to say, yes, Steve, you can smile, Lowell. I'm not going to say any more about it than that, so we go on with the play. We are playing with the safety tools, some of the safety tools recommended by the Gauntlet, and again, the players have played with those before, they've played with me before, so we know where we stand on those, so I won't reiterate it. If you want to hear more about all of that, then go back and check out the first in this 4-part series. So let's invite the players to say hello and introduce us to their characters, and maybe just give us a heads up of where they think they left off last time. Or they can just have an embarrassed silence where they think, oh God, I can't remember. So no pressure, guys. So let me start. Bodhi, say hello and tell us something about Icenius.
So I'm Bodhi, they, them pronouns, and I'm playing Icenius, he, him pronouns, who is a Frankish Sword of God. And very, as particularly coming on from last session, very kind of convinced that he's right and that he is called by God to do various things, including bring Lowell's character into the fold as a vessel of Saint Michael, and various things. He's currently afflicted with pride, as you can probably tell.
Yes, he is a man who has complete faith in himself. Moving on, Lowell, say hello and tell us about Cunobacha, our pagan mystic.
Cunobacha, he, him, and Cunobacha knows that it is only through his righteous anger last time that we were able to come through this. And if we had held our silence, then problems would have occurred. And I was right, and I have led the way, and I also am filled with pride right this second, and convinced of the rightness of my actions and choices, including the choice of hitting that guy in the head, and which led to a big pile of muck with a head at the bottom of it. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, and they burned a village down.
They did on your instigations,
Yeah.
your collective instigations. Okay, moving along. Paul, say hello and tell us something about Black Russel the Outlaw.
Hi, I'm Paul, he, him, and I'm playing Black Russel, also he, him, the Outlaw. And at the end of the last session, I did not partake of the killing of the monster in the Earl's throne room. I was more into my own gains of robbing another player character. And that's my character, basically.
Indeed so. And finally, Pavel, say hello and tell us something about Hoel the Monster Hunter.
Hello, I'm Pavel, and I'm playing Hoel from Stroden, who is a monster hunter, big, bold, with an axe and some scraps of leather armor that travels around and helps some folk kill monsters. And he took a job from the Earl, I forgot his name, Faces and Places, Earl Viduk, to travel to the swamp marshes on the other side of the river and kill something that hides there. And obviously, by fat chance, he discovered that there are traitors in the village nearby that pretended to be loyal to the Earl, and the entire village is now burned down.
Yes.
And where we finished? We finished at the burning village, kind of ready to travel to the other side of the river to the marshes, sort of.
I think that's right. I think you saw the village of the Marshmen that exists a little bit further up the river, away from Cinham, the Earl's seat. And yes, we should remember, I think, that you did go with peaceful intent, I think, to ask them some questions. It all turned a bit nasty, and it certainly went downhill for the Marshmen from after that. Their leader was brought to the hall, and he tried to attack the Earl, summoning what appeared to be the muck from the marsh across the river. And it was in that pile of muck that a servant subsequently found the head and a bit of the spine of the man that the Earl had previously sent into the marsh to find out what was going wrong. And yeah, I think we did finish with the fires burning, and then I think we might even have cut to the following morning to the smoking ruins just in sight up the river. And indeed, the theory was that you'd be provided with a guide and flat-bottom boats to enter the marsh, the fenland opposite, and anyone watching this will see that we've all got the kind of the misty distance of somewhere to travel to. So let us pick up at that point, I think, which is Eotenweard, the priest of Woden, the Earl's priest, explaining that there are no guides because they would have used the marshmen to guide you into the marsh. But now there are none of those, apart from the man that Cunobacha subdued, beat about the head till he dropped unconscious, their leader. So that is the only marshman left in town. Wrath is a potent burden. So let me start by asking Hoel then, given that now there is only one marshman left available, and he is the man who's currently sitting in chains, chained to a post in the middle of the village where he can be watched. What's your thinking, Hoel?
I think. Oh my God.
I tell you what, while you're thinking about that, while you're contemplating that, let me tell you what else happens at dawn or just after dawn. There's a shout from the wooden tower beside the gate into this stockaded village settlement. And the shout is, "Riders are coming!" Presumably following the track through the marsh that you followed to get here in the first place.
Where's that boat?
Well, they can supply flat-bottom boats. That's not a problem.
Well, Hoel doesn't really like someone's coming. That's Earl's problem, not mine. Hoel is standing there like really hard thinking, and he looks at Russel, and he says, "So I was wondering, Russel, the guy in the chain didn't see you there. So, and you seem like sort of like like his type of guy. So I was wondering, maybe you could." We could like stage that you are trying to rescue him, and maybe you can get some valuable intel from him while we stage that you are trying to rescue him. I will be there, watching, and you will sneak by me to try to talk to him and get some information, maybe free him. What do you think?
Yeah, I can get information from him. Yeah, sure.
Cool. Do you want me there pretending to be guarding him, or do you just want to be left alone with him?
No. If you're in the nearby area, that would be perfectly fine.
Sure. I'm sure that when the guards will go to see whoever is coming, we can, I'll be there just standing, looking around, looking scary, and you can, do your stuff.
Okay. so I know what's going to happen there. Icenius, what about you this morning?
I think that I'm concerned about the riders and whether they present a threat to us, because I know that there's people looking for the cross/dagger that I have concealed in my cloak, and with what I feel as nefarious intent, and and also the box, which I believe is in my saddlebag. And
Cursory examination proves it to be there, still wrapped in the blanket that you put it in.
And so I go up to, presumably there's a watchtower by the gatehouse or similar. I go up there and kind of see what people know about these riders, kind of see if they're known, see if there's someone who's kind of come back and said who they are, kind of see how many there are.
Okay. And finally, Cunobacha, what do we see of you this morning?
I want to track down and have a little conversation with, let me get his name again, Aelnoth.
That won't be difficult. Aelnoth was there explaining to you on the Earl's behalf that he can no longer provide a guide. So yeah, let's start with that then. So yes, Aelnoth is available for you to have that conversation. I think I've described him in the Character Keeper as sometimes kind of looking a little bit kind of vacant.
I say to him, brother, when things happened last night, I saw that you have a backbone of steel. You did not react, and it seemed almost as if you knew what was coming.
And he will. There's a slight look of shock on his face when you kind of you've noticed that he did nothing, and then he says, I
don't say this in front of anybody else. Make sure.
No. This is not going to embarrass him in public. No, this is all about you and him. And he says, Woden no longer listens to me.
Is it because of the marsh or something else?
No. And he looks to the church where perhaps the priest, the local priest, brother, I've forgotten his name now, Humlocutus, is perhaps at the front of the door of the church, again looking towards the gate where the cry of riders coming has come from, just out of curiosity. And he looks across to him and he says, one of his kind hurt me. And you can see there's a deep anger in his face at what they did. He doesn't seem to volunteer what they did.
I say, I did not know that they could do that. You have done me a great service by informing me of that. And my gaze will kind of travel over and I'll look up at Icenius on the wall. If there is anything you need from me, I will help you in that.
I am told that there is a treasure, a Christian treasure, that is very valuable to them. I believe I know that it was kept at an abbey, the Abbey of St. Anselm's, away to the north, towards Danum from here. And that does fit with what you know of the provenance.
I will keep my eyes and ears open for this.
With that cross, I believe my powers would return to me. We are not brothers, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
True. Now I will give him a bow of, a nod of acknowledgement of honor, and walk away.
You can feel his eyes in the back of your neck as you walk away. Meanwhile, let us cut to this marsh man. Now, it must be said, you only saw him in pretty bad light last night, Hoel, and then events took over in the hall, so no one's got a good look at him. But it is clear that a degree of inbreeding has been at work among the marshmen. He is slightly lop-shouldered. His eyes bulge slightly. He has large flapping lips, and he is cowering with his manacled hands chained to this post. So that's what you see, Russell, as you approach.
So making sure that Hoel is nearby, I shall approach the man from really outside, from behind, so we can't really get a good look at me, and quickly appear in his face. And I will say,
before Russell gets there, I just want to be there and say to the man, I hope you are not planning on escaping. I will just watch you till the guard returns, because I assume that the guards wander off to see the raiders or whatever.
That's fine.
So I'm just announcing my presence from his front so that he's focused on me, and then I'm just turn my back and look around, and then making space for Russell to approach.
And his eyes are flitting to either side. Go ahead, Russell.
see that man over there? He wants to kill you, my friend. I don't know if you know of him. That massive unit there. He wants to kill you, and I don't really like him.
He came among us last night, and again his accent is thick, and his enunciation is poor. There's a lispiness about the way he speaks, and he came among us last night, and then they came to get me, and now my people are lost.
I heard he killed your kith and kin. That doesn't sit right with me at all. I'm prepared to free you, my friend, because I don't like him.
And then there's a slight kind of cunning look. He says, "Why would you free me?"
I need to escape from him. I've stolen from him. And he's looking for me as well.
And he looks at his manacled hands and the rope that binds them to the post in the middle of the village. If you cut the rope, I'll just run into the water. Friend. He won't catch me in the water.
I need safe haven in the marsh. I need you to take me to a safe place in the marsh. Deep in the marsh, away from him. And if you don't, if I cut you free, and you don't give me safe passage through the marsh to a place of safety, you may have heard of me. My name's Black Russel. I will hunt you down. I have the skills, and I will kill you and your kin one by one. I would like to use my thug.
Yeah, when you convince someone using threats of violence, roll plus savage.
Very well. Here we go to roll for your party. A multi-user dice roller. That's very good. And it rolled a 6 and a 4, giving me 10, plus my 2 savage, a lovely 12.
They agree, are in awe of you, and they owe you a debt of honor. So you can add a debt of honor. You can have a debt of honor owed by, and because he is the head of this group of marshmen, I think we'll just say the marshmen owe you a debt of honor, as long as he is alive.
Of course. I will note that down.
And you can see him looking at Hoel as if to say, he's looking away. Cut me now. I will take you. I will take you. Now, now.
Later, my friend, I need to get a few things in place. The things I've stolen from him, I need to secure. Stay here. You will be fine. I will free you in hours to come. Do not say anything.
No. And that seems a good point to cut to the top of the watchtower, where Icenius and one of the Earl's men observe a party of a handful or so of riders. They're not galloping, they're not charging, they're just making their way towards Sinham. They look familiar, Icenius. Would you like to hazard a guess?
I'm wondering whether it's a good time to roll my start of session move here.
Yes, please. Roll plus subtle.
So that is a 5, 6, 7, 8, and I am not subtle, so that goes back down to 7.
Okay, so on serpentine, hold 1. On a 10 plus, you would have not been asked to do something dishonorable. I think that what God wants you to do is kill Godfrid of Lene rather than let him take the Christian Russel. Yeah?
Yep.
But you get 1 hold to spend later in the session to look about you for free. So I've told you that that is Godfrid of Lene and his men. And I guess that the next, I think unless, do you want to do anything with that, Icenius, or?
I think I don't particularly fancy facing Godfrid at the moment. Like, I have to kill him rather than let him take Russel, but if both Russel and myself are in the marsh, then that puts that off to another time, and I can focus on kind of trying to convert Cunobacha, presuming that he's there as well. So I think I want to make my way back to the hall, I guess, and then say that things have just become a bit more pressing.
Okay. So I cannot remember whether I cashed in. I think I put it on the table, but I didn't cash it in. I think I should cash in the debt. God wants you to erase a debt to God if you agree to the conversion of Cunobacha. Yeah. And if that doesn't go terribly well, then I might spend another 1 to have you kill him instead. But that's over the hill and far away. So at the minute,
yep,
you can reduce your debt to God by 1, but God does now formally ask you to bring Cunobacha into the church.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't take long for the news that Godfrid of Lene is approaching Russel. It appears that ship there is his, and that's how he got to the north of England. What do you do, Russel?
I will quickly pull up my cowled hood and make my way to the largest concentration of my fellows, wherever that may be.
Well, let's
quickly deliver the news.
Right. Well, let's find. Well, we know Icenius is heading back to the hall towards the hall.
Let us meet in the hall then.
So the hall, I think, was where Cunobacha was having the conversation with Elnoth.
And I'm pretty close to
Yeah, this is a village, not a town. You know, you can see the hall from anywhere. But Cunobacha, you walked away from Aelnoth, but I wasn't entirely certain where you were walking to. I know you were eyeing the priest.
No, my movement would have been to make sure the boats are fine, and because we need to get going.
Okay.
I know this.
And I think Hoel, one of the guards comes back and thanks you for watching the prisoner, freeing you to head back towards the hall and the dock beside it, at which a number of flat-bottomed boats and what we now know to be a larger boat, more seagoing boat, that is actually how Gottfried of Len got here. So let's have you in the shadow of the hall.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? Who's first? Let me think.
I have a cunning plan.
Well, then.
My friends, I have managed to persuade, with the help of our monster hunter friend here, the man tied in the middle of the village will lead me to a marshman's safe location deep in the marsh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we could, and I need to accompany him, so therefore you will need to pursue me.
Mm-hmm.
You could easily use that to pull Godfred of Len into the marsh, and we could set about him using my marshman friends, possibly. I may be able to call in a debt, so they will attack Godfred of Len. You could assist, or maybe not do anything, and we can put an end to Godfred of Len, and also know the location of the marshmen's hideout in the marsh. How does that sound?
Complicated.
It's a simple plan.
Cunobacha, how does that sound? How does your cousin's cunning plan sound to you?
He says, it's a simple plan. I say, is it? Is it really? I say, if it gets us moving.
Any particular reason why we would murder a nobleman in such
So
a
I said so.
fashion?
Because he's trying to murder me. It's
Yes,
better him being dead than me being dead.
You may not have picked up on this, Hoel, but yes, Gottfried of Len is Russel's nemesis. Russel killed his family and failed to kill him, which proves to have been.
We don't say that part though. We just say he's our nemesis. He's his nemesis.
Yes, of course.
He has been pursuing us hotly, and I say, and Icenius took a relic from him on the command of God, and Godfrey will also be after Icenius.
Well, my friends, it seems that this is a complicated matter, but I have to ask to be excused from this plan to murder a man that did not seem to be like very monster. Like there are a lot of people who would.
He's not very nice. Does that count?
Hoel, I can respect your feelings. Let us perhaps do as partially as my cousin suggests. We let him run off. We chase him. If Godfrey follows us into the mire, so be it. Let that be on his head, and we'll figure out where that goes at that point. How does that sound?
That's exactly what I wanted to say. I'm totally with this plan. I think it would be good if I inform someone about the stage escape, so that the arrows pursuing Russell will miss. I don't want him to be hurt. I was wondering, Cunobacha, can you somehow track is it your brother or a cousin?
Cousin.
Can you somehow track him while he is escaping, or are we purely relying on our ability to follow their tracks?
I'm sure there'll be no problem. I'm sure we'll be able to follow them. We should just get moving.
Just let it be known that it's not just a common person that has assisted the marshman, that it is Russell, Black Russell. make sure everybody knows it was Black Russell, and that maybe he was saying something about Godfred of Len, that Godfred would never catch him.
Oh, this plan is just getting simpler by the minute. Shall we do this just a step at a time? Which is, one, who cuts the rope?
I'm more than happy to do that.
Okay, and the marshman takes off like a rabbit towards the dock and the flat bottom boats that are there.
With me with him.
With you in swift pursuit. There is then that kind of, the guard goes, "Oi, you!" and goes to chase him. Hoel, do you do anything?
Really reluctantly, but I agreed to this plan, so I draw my axe and I yell on the power of my lungs, "Black Russell, I will get you!" And I kind of like, assuming that makes them as I'm huge, I'm like stroll after them. But like, yeah, this is like an angry walk and shouting on the power of my lungs to announce to everyone that Black Russell has freed this man.
And I think by then, I think the shout of the Earl's man who was guarding him has drawn some others from nearby. At that point, I think we have the Marshman and Black Russell in the flat bottom boat. The Marshman is poling out into the river to get to the marshes. Icenius, what about you?
And the horse.
So I think my horse will have to stay stable here at this point.
I think that is likely.
But I think I'm doing a similar charade to Hoel, but feigning pursuit of the Marshman and kind of declaring to one and all that I will bring him back to justice.
Cunobacha?
Behind in the wake of this this plan.
This perfectly executed plan to date.
Yeah. I do say to Icenius, you brought the cross, right?
And I nod conspiratorially. And
I just thumbs up just to make sure it's with you. And we'll go and get to the boats.
And I think
by the way, just from a mechanical point, I just want to point out I have no way of tracking Black Russell. I merely am full of myself. Just want to make that absolutely clear.
Absolutely.
Absolutely understood.
You can do anything. And if you can't do it, Icenius can. And that is the point at which the Earl and his kind of his advisors, his best warriors come out of the hall. They're coming out to welcome Godfred of Len, who is just coming through the gate as this is happening, and he sees the chaos. He sees the Marshman escaping, and he shouts, "Archers!" And then you see his wife look very carefully at the Marshman and who's with him, and her eyebrow goes up, and she says, "No, my husband, let them go. We have guests." And by that point, I think Hoel, Cunobacha, and Icenius are in another flat-bottom boat in pursuit of the Marshman.
Of course.
I'm assuming, I think that Hoel is probably poling the punt, so to speak, because I think he's got a longer reach than everybody else. And in my experience, punts require reach.
Sure.
So we have one of the slowest races that Netflix are ever going to show. The Marshman gets across the current and disappears down an inlet into these fenland reeds, which are probably 5 or 6 feet above the water. And Hoel is, poling after him. And does anybody look back at Sinem?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll see Cunobacha look back. and we see Gottfried of Len dismounting in a cursory conversation with the Earl, and then he looks out across the river into the fens just as Black Russell disappears, followed by you. Does anybody want to stay long enough to find out what he does, or is it more important to stay in touch with Black Russell?
More important to follow.
Okay. So I think then we'll cut to a montage. Black Russell, what does the Marshman do to try to throw off any pursuit?
I think sort of run silent. Clearly it's not a submarine, but yeah, a similar sort of naval maneuver. He will stop poling and just sort of glide and maybe, cut down a side waterway. What I would like to do, I would like to sort of show my naivety of navigating a marsh. I would like to break the odd sort of reed to sort of lay a crumb trail, hopefully. I don't know, mechanically maybe allow them some sort of advantage to track, but yeah, I want to lay some crumb trail. Not very obviously, but yeah, the Marshman will definitely be trying to dodge these guys following us.
Okay, and I guess that we'll find out at some point whether that crumb trail works. But for now, Cunobacha, what do you notice as you get deeper? And this fenland is 50 miles wide and 100 miles deep. This is an enormous portion of Eastern England. You could get to Cambridge from here. It's miles away. And you are quite deep in it as we get into the late afternoon towards dusk. Cunobacha, what tells you that the old gods are powerful here?
I think that even it's not even dark yet, and we're probably seeing the little flickers of the will-o'-the-wisps. Like they shouldn't be out until it's dark. Those creatures and things shouldn't be visible until it is night. But it's not even night falling. We can already feel the clutch of those things.
Icenius, what makes you feel a long way from your god here?
I think that we see where the reeds are low enough to see over the top of them, which I imagine happens occasionally. We see the wind bending the reeds slightly into strange shapes, into old weird runes and kind of disturbing images that flash for a moment, and I know that they have nothing to do with the god that I worship.
Fine. And Hoel, you are the person who is actually doing your best to steer this thing. I think it is probably time to find out how good you are at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably steel to stay on this trail. Yeah? So
Okay,
this is face danger with steel, unless you have a move that would be more appropriate. Or indeed, if anyone has a move that's more appropriate, come to that. I'm not sure you do.
Not in my skill set.
Okay.
I believe.
So this is just native calmness.
Yes, I usually arrive and shout long enough for the monsters to appear. That's the usual tactic. Okay, it's 6 + 2, it's an 8.
An 8. Well, I mean, that's better than last time when I think you rolled a whole series of fails. So on an 8, yeah, you think you're still on the trail, but you have had to make a couple of detours when you ended up going down a dead end where the reeds just closed up the channel. So I think you are getting further behind. if they are going to arrive somewhere by dusk, you're not going to arrive there by dusk.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to be dark and you'll still be on the marsh. So are you doing anything during this day navigating the marsh, Russell, apart from, trying to leave this trail?
No, I think I will be the opposite of helpful to the marshman. I will lounge in the boat and pick my teeth with a reed and just say, the pole, it chafes my hands, my friend. And as a bowman, it's important I keep my hands supple. You understand, my marshy friend?
What did you do? What did you do to earn their ire?
I killed his wife and his children. They wronged me, so I killed them.
If someone did that to me, I would pursue them to the ends of the earth.
Possibly. That's why we're going to a marsh. The chance of him finding me is slim, my friend.
Let's not worry about where Russell gets to. Let's worry about where the rest of you get to. That dusk swiftly falls. The mist is quite thick, and there's a booming echoing across the marsh as the great bitterns begin to call. This ooh, ooh, echoes across through the mist, and those little will-o'-the-wisps seem to be all around, and it's almost as though they're following you. What are you going to do when it gets dark? Hoel, what's your thinking? Because soon it's going to be too dark to see which way to go.
Well, I follow my monster hunter instincts that usually sometimes turn out to be good. Sometimes, because maybe they tell me to that we should reach the land here and just rest on the ground. Maybe they'll tell me to keep paddling. Who knows? So I'm like,
okay. So what is your current debt to your god?
I see it as a -1.
Okay, so you are rolling plus soul -1, which is a full -1.
Hey, it's a 9.
Well, it could have been a lot worse then. So on a 9, you now pay your god another debt or mark wounded. You can make a blood sacrifice to your gods instead.
I wonder if this is the way of Hoel. Because this was the way of my mystic. I don't think this is his way.
Okay.
Let's give you a couple of hard moves. It will be fun. So yeah, I'm going to owe my debt. Out of curiosity, anyone wants to help? I'm not sure if it's possible to help with this move.
I don't think it is, because it is your God's given instinct,
Okay.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
sure.
Yeah. So on 7+, the GM will tell you where you could go to further your aims. I think that the Saxon gods don't think you should just go on into the darkness. You've found a little kind of rise in this marsh, which is just marginally less damp. And you could probably just pull the flat bottom boat up there and maybe even get warm around a fire as the temperature drops.
Yeah, I'm clearly heading in this direction, not pursuing whatever signs that Russell is leaving to us. So unless the two of you wants to object, I think Hoel would say we should rest for the night. It's not wise to travel these waters. Various swamp monsters are hunting at night. I hope that tomorrow morning, Cunobacha, you can locate your cousin and we can
absolutely.
resume the pursuit.
I've got this.
Can I check then? What do you hear as you draw this up onto the this slightly higher raised ground? where there's a suggestion of dryness. What Cunobacha do you hear that suggests there is something out there in the marsh, stalking something? What do you hear or feel even?
I think we hear like the sounds of whatever frogs or toads are out there doing their calls off and away, but then they get quiet. And then we hear a sploosh as something goes into the water.
Oh yes, lovely. A nice kind of smoosh. Fine. So you have somewhere to light a fire, you have somewhere to warm some of the food that you will have brought with you, because this was a plan, you were prepared for this.
Mm-hmm.
I love asking this question in indie games. Do you set washes?
Yes, we do.
And if so, which of you is taking the watch that is in the dead of night? Who'd like to volunteer for that watch?
I think that Icenius, I volunteer for that watch. I consider it my duty to stand guard against the forces of darkness, and that is when they would be most at large.
Absolutely.
Why don't I take first watch, Hoel? You've been poling all day. You should get your rest first.
Oh, that was just a minor exercise.
Okay,
But
I'll take last watch then.
But I think I will take your
Okay.
thank you for this kind proposal. I will take it.
Icenius, do you light a fire to have some warm food, or you just chew some cold bread?
I think I would light a small fire, I think. Perhaps we might have brought some dry wood with us, a small amount of it, so that maybe pilfered from the whole stores, so that we can at least have one fire without a lot of smoke.
I don't deny you a decent fire for the night. That would be unkind. So sitting as you are with your back to the fire while the others sleep, Icenius, you can hear something moving in the water. Just a slow kind of What do you do?
I think the first thing I do is I draw, reminding myself what weapons I have. I stand up and I bring my spear, which has been resting beside me. I bring that kind of to the ready and move towards the sound cautiously.
So you come down off this slightly, this 10 feet across bit of dryish ground, just down till it gets a little bit squishy underfoot.
Yeah. I think I'm staying at the edge of the high ground, but I'm moving towards the closest edge to where I heard the sound.
And one of those will-o'-the-wisps, or you think it's a will-o'-the-wisp, but it's moving through the reeds rather than above the reeds. Then there's a kind of splash, and you can see someone in the dim light cast by this will-o'-the-wisp, someone or something splashing in the water. What do you do?
I think I say in a commanding voice, stand and name yourself in the name of the Lord.
I think all you can hear echoing back out of the stillness is what sounds like gasping. What do you do?
I think I take a few more steps, perhaps getting my feet wet at this point towards the sound. At this point, I'm not sure whether it's something aggressive or something in distress.
Okay, well, that sounds like Look About You, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As you edge down ankle deep into the mire.
I think I'm going to use my one hold here.
Exactly, you have one hold. All I need you to do is to tell me something about the vision that God granted you that would give you fictional positioning now to be looking about you.
I think that my vision is through water. I think I am, if this works for what you have in mind, I think I am, my vision is of myself, but seen from this. I now realize that the way I'm standing now and where I'm looking, if that was reversed, that would be what I saw in my vision. And I get some of the feeling of being whatever creature's eyes I'm looking out of.
Okay. I will remind you that you can spend a hold to look about you to agree with the GM a detail to add to the scene that enriches the fiction, or ask the GM to do so, or you can just ask me one of those questions.
So let me bring up those questions. Moves. Look about you. Yes. It's Giovanni. Location. What happened? Do I get any insight from the? I'm going to say actually that I do get, because I think I have the ability to do this mechanically. I do get an insight about the state of mind, the intent of whatever this is. What feeling do I get from that vision?
That whatever was looking out was in distress. Whatever was looking at you was in distress.
So I, at this point, step more boldly out into the marsh. I think that the sensible thing would be to wake my companions, but I think that I'm caught up in this vision and going to the aid of what I believe God has called me to help by this vision, and
of course
so I wade.
And your pride leads you to wade in thigh deep to help this, whatever it is in distress. That triggers your pride, -2 to face danger. Would you face danger, please? Using, I think, steel.
Okay. Go back to find out what my steel is, which I believe is 1. Yes, so that's a -1 overall. And wait for that to update. Ooh, that is a 4.
That would seem to me to be a great, do mark experience. That would be a good point, I think, to take our first break. Shall we be back in our seats at 5 past the hour? Okay, I will pause the recording. We're back from our break, and I think this would be the time to cut to Russel. Russel, one of the last things that this marshman says to you as dusk begins to fall is, if they catch us, what do you want me to do with them?
Take them prisoner.
Very good, Lord. As the
Oh, I'm
googly
no lord.
eyes. Okay, then it would seem to me an appropriate use of that failure of Icenius to have all three of our chasers wake up in a dark hut. Because clearly your guard was not much good. But I will unmark his pride, because he paid the price of pride there. Yeah, it's a darkened, smelly hut. You can smell marsh and verdant green growth. Cunobacha, what do you do?
I will sit up and I will wake. I'm like, so let me think here. Hoel did his watch. I know that. Icenius, so this is Icenius' fault. So I will wake up Hoel.
Okay. I'm going to assume Icenius is either not in the hut or is deeply unconscious until such time as we have Bodhi back in the stream. Yeah, so there you are. Are you not really pissed off by this, Cunobacha?
I am a little miffed.
Just a little?
Oh no, I'm furious. But I'm also I'm not sure where I am quite yet. And if someone has information on where we are, I want to find that out before, so I know who to get mad at.
Okay, and I think that will probably be the time when Icenius wakes. Icenius, you're in a darkened hut that smells of marsh, mire, mud, and marsh gas. And the other two are awake. Cunobacha, how are you going to find out the answer to the question that allows you to know who to be annoyed at?
What is going on? Why are we in this hut? Who was on watch?
The last thing that Icenius remembers is being dragged under the water.
Are we somehow bind in a cage, or are we just in a hut?
You're just in a hut. It seems to be largely constructed of wood and reeds.
Yeah. So I think, like, when you start to speak, very weirdly, Hoel's reaction is not to like wake up slowly. He just does rolls to the side, almost like punches invisible enemy, and then like realizes that there's no one there. Like, hell if I know. I mean, I was fighting a werewolf, but I guess this was just a dream.
I go, okay, and I'll turn to Icenius. Icenius, what happened?
There were sounds from the marsh. I went to investigate, and we were here. I mean, I know that whatever was making those sounds was in distress and need of help. It wasn't so I went to help, as was my duty.
I think I can tell.
And then
I was dragged underwater, and now we're here. I know nothing of the time between.
It is true that Icenius is still damp and matted with the kind of fenland weed.
Is there a door on this hut?
There is. I think it's fair to say Hoel's good at this kind of thing. So I think I'm very happy for Hoel to be scratching at his neck, where there's just a little pinprick almost, and a slight swelling, which I think, Cunobacha, you'll find you have as well.
Yeah, I will probably ask Cunobacha, how does it look? Does it look like a sting, or does it look like a blowgun, like we were hit from a blowgun?
What's a blowgun?
You know the long pipe where they put like a needle sharp small objects inside, and it's like a long needle with some feathers that to stabilize the flight, and then it just.
Michael, your homeland is weird. I've never heard of that.
I mean, you should ask Russell. The bandit that use it quite often. It's they put into the arrows some some extract from the leaves from in the trees. It makes people like woozy, like really hard.
I say, we need to get out of here. Do you want to kick that door out, or should I?
Yeah, that would be my pleasure.
Thank you.
Do we have our gear or not?
No.
I don't need gear.
It looks like Hoel is going to kick the door, but he politely grabs the handle and just like tries to open it.
And I think in the dawn light, there's a figure silhouetted in the door. What do you do, Hoel?
Wait, so I turn to the door, I want to go there, I want to open this, and what happens?
When you open the door, the light from outside looks like it's facing into the sun, the dawn sun. So there's a bright light with a figure silhouetted against it. What do you do?
Yeah, I probably extend my hand to grab this person and pull them into the hut.
Okay. Russell, face danger with steel to avoid being dragged into the hut.
Okay.
Nice.
Check if I've got any moves. Really. Okay, here we go. Steel it is, which is 0. So let's see what we get. 7.
Okay. You can avoid this, but you will have to create some fuss, some commotion that will draw the attention of the rest of the Marshmen camp that you are in.
Or I will succumb to it.
Succumb, i.e. get dragged in, or
Yes.
make a fuss not being dragged in.
I will allow myself to get dragged in.
Okay. So here we are again, all in the hut.
And I wonder if I can say that Icenius has his. I do I have my knife still on me at least?
No.
Ah.
No, they
Okay.
stripped anything obvious, but not the cross inside your clothing, wrapped in that cloth blanket.
Okay, so I think I just have my. I think I moved to pin Russell to the ground before I realised that it's Russell, and kind of realise at the point at which I'm kind of moving to hold him down.
Okay, Russell, what do you say?
Hands off, you stinky oaf. It wasn't me that got captured by the Marshmen. Oh, I thought you three would have more wits about you than that. Getting dragged into the mire? Oh, terrible.
It got us to where we needed to be.
Wet, stinking and nearly half naked. But while you were all asleep and drugged, I may have been able to arrange your freedom with this war band of marshmen that I'm with. They need the cross, Icenius. We looked through your equipment and we couldn't find it. Where is it? That will buy your freedom for the lot of you. They need to make a deal with the Earl, and they need the cross.
The Lord has designs on that cross. I cannot.
The Lord
I
wants
cannot
you to
give
live.
it up.
The Lord wants you to live. So my advice would be to hand it over. We can always get the cross back later.
Can I just clarify for my own purposes? The plan was to get here. I was never entirely clear how far the plan extended beyond getting here. That was it, to get to this point. Okay.
That's where the road ends. Where the road ends, out in the middle of the air.
Okay. I just wanted to check that I wasn't missing.
I refuse to hand over the cross, and I make it clear by my.
Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. I totally back you up. I'll try my hardest now to bargain with these marshmen. You guys stay here, and I'll see what I can do for you.
But they have our equipment. I want my axe.
Exactly. Well, they said if you hand over the cross. If not, I'll see what I can do. Give me some time. You guys stay here. I'll see if I can persuade the marshmen to release you.
I am furious, and I am moving to step out of the hut.
They could kill you, Cunobacha.
They can try.
You have no equipment. Stay here. Let me try and talk our way out of this. You've put me at great peril here.
Oh,
I'll see what I can do for you guys. If you don't want to hand over the cross, you have got the cross, haven't you, Icenius?
I remained silent.
So you don't have it. Okay, well, I'll see what bargain I can do.
So Cunobacha is threatening to go for the door. Hoel, what is your reaction to this?
I probably, I let him step out because I'm thinking about my own way to check out where we are. Are there any windows or something in this hut?
No, I mean that some light penetrates through the kind of the construction, but there's no window as such. You could force some of these reeds apart if you really wanted to look out. I think it wouldn't be an enormous task.
No, I will then wait for Cunobacha to leave because I'm totally expecting there is some kind of magic on the door that will not let us leave. So if he wants to take the blow from the magic, whatever. And if he goes and if he leaves, then I'm gonna leave after him.
Okay, so does Cunobacha get out there before you do, Russell, or do you hurry to get out there first?
I will hurry to get out there first.
I'm going to let you get out there first, to be followed by your irate cousin. What do you do, Russell?
Well, tell me the situation with the marshmen.
Okay. So this is a village of perhaps a dozen huts, round huts, mostly of reed construction with some really kind of poor wood picked up from the higher points in the marsh, floating pretty much on the attached to slightly higher bits of ground, with in the center a mat of bundles of reeds creating a central space with kind of walkways down from the various huts. So about a dozen huts scattered about, with these kind of walkways between them made out of reeds. So, as you walk on it, there's a degree of give in certain parts of it.
And clearly we got here last night and then they went out and captured, when that guy said, what do you want me to do? I said, capture them. He then sent out a team of people, captured them and have brought them back and stripped them and shoved them in this hut.
Indeed, yes.
Okay, and there's a reasonably good quantity of Marshman warriors?
That's an interesting question. Let me just see what I can tell you. These I think, are even more extremely different. It's clear that the Marshmen who lived near Sinham were either selected because they looked more like ordinary people. But the people you're among now, their eyes bulge. Some of them are almost hairless, or they have straggly locks. They have, wide gashed mouths. Some of them, either they sharpen their teeth or their teeth are sharp. They are dressed in only stuff they can get from the marsh. So, their weapons and stuff is very poor. Some of them have friggin' webbed fingers.
Sounds like Norfolk. Okay, I will place my hand on Cunobacha's chest and try and slow down his walk to the center of the village and say, Cunobacha, this is a fight you cannot win. I know you think you'll win, but look at the quantity of these marshmen and look at them. They are freaky individuals. You're not spreading the word of God here. Just hold your anger that I know is within you and let me try and speak to these marshmen. Am I not a well-versed orator? Can I not always deliver when I speak to people?
You are muted, Lowell. You are muted, Lowell.
I get what you're saying, Lowell.
My point, though, I think is made. One chance.
Have I ever left you down, cousin? Never.
Yes.
Maybe.
I'm on the run.
Stay in the hut and I'll see what I can do. And I will walk to the marshmen.
I just asked, Cunobacha, do you retreat into the hut, or do you stay on the threshold where you can see what happens?
You're muted
I'm
again.
definitely muted. I'm definitely on the threshold.
Okay. So what does Cunobacha see, Russell, as you approach a group of these, hulking, slightly misshapen, very odd-looking people, surrounded by the marshman who brought you here, who in this company looks positively normal?
You thick marsh idiots. You've only gone and captured the wrong people. This isn't the right people. It's the Lord that's following me, not these normal folk. It's the Lord. Did I not make that clear when I was in the square, my friend? I pointed not at that oaf that you've captured, but I was pointing beyond him. Did your eyes not see it, you buffoon?
Are you cashing in the debt that they owe you, or are you triggering convince someone?
Convince somebody would... am I making it thuggish? And I mean, clearly there's a lot of them, so I can't sort of directly threaten them.
I don't think this is thuggish.
This is convince somebody.
This is straightforward convince.
I will cash in my debt.
Okay. Erase a debt honor. They will do something else specific that GM agrees is appropriate to the fiction, rolling with advantage when they do so. So
we need the Lord. We need Godfred. That's the man who's pursuing me.
Let me be clear here. Are you cashing in the debt to get those in the hut released, or them just kept for their purposes and Godfred of Len taken?
No, I need these guys released.
Okay. So spend the debt that the Marshmen owe you.
It would be funny, but yeah.
and Cunobacha Hoel and Icenius are allowed out, and they're given back their belongings, which for the most part are there. There might be a small item missing, but nothing significant at this point.
Can I gain a debt with the others in the party that I have actually arranged their freedom?
I have to say, I think you do. I think everybody owes you a debt. They didn't have to fight their way out. You led them to the Marshmen as the cunning plan said it would. I am still curious what the plan was when you got here, but we'll see where that leads us next.
I
will go back to my colleagues and say, I've arranged your freedom. You are free to...
So what I want to do is I want to cut to now the four of you sat in the hut, not as prisoners, but as reasonably honored guests, being fed a lamprey stew, which is slightly oily, but none the least filling.
We need to have a conversation with these people. We were sent here ostensibly to aid them. That there was some threat or disturbance in the marsh that was causing them not to deliver their tribute. We need to ascertain if that is the case, and then we can help them. If it's not the case, and they are merely unpleasant, then we'll deal with that problem when we come to it.
Well volunteered, Cunobacha. As the great orator that you are, I think this is clearly in your domain. So let's go speak to the chief, and you can put over what you think.
Yes.
Just to be clear, the chief is the guy that we chased from the village. Is the chief the guy that we chased from the town that we almost killed?
I don't know.
I think I can tell you, given Russell's opportunity to just have a look at how this works, is that while he was the leader of the Marshmen at Sinham, there is somebody else deeper in the marsh, someone who is here, who is senior to him.
That's who I want to speak with.
And I think I'd go further, Russell, and tell you that there's almost a kind of peculiar caste system going on here. That the more ordinary, typical human you look, the lower down the order you are.
Fair one.
And so, Cunobacha, you want to seek audience with the chief of the Marshmen?
Yes.
Okay. You are honored guests. There's no reason why you shouldn't. And so you were invited to come and sit on the large space between the huts.
I'll leave any weapon. No knife or anything like that.
And you can hear a kind of faint drumming. And then out of a hut on the edge of this village, near us to a kind of open lagoon almost, comes a shambling creature in a kind of dripping, ragged cloak and hood. And it approaches. Now, where are the other three of you? Are you near Cunobacha, or are you observing from the hut? 10 or 15 paces?
I'll be with my cousin.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'd be near as well. So
Okay. And Hoel, or are you watching from afar?
Well, that's my deal. Speaking with the people important, offering them my service. So
that is true.
I'm there as well.
If you were to negotiate with these people, it's a tricky Monster Hunter thing. Technically, you are currently contracted to the Earl. Just saying. I don't know how we'll deal with having two conceivably conflicting mistresses or masters, but we'll worry about that if we come to it.
Yeah.
So, so this person shambles up towards you, and when it gets in front of you, Cunobacha throws the and the hood back, and while it is almost human, it is mostly some kind of fish. The eyes are flat black discs. Where it would have a beard, there's almost a fringe of webbed spines. Its mouth is a gash from ear to ear, where you can see tiny needle-like sharp teeth. And its hands are clawed and webbed. It is a most unpleasant sight. You have rarely seen a less attractive woman. What do you do?
What do I call you?
Mother, she lisps.
We were called here because people believed that your people or villages, that there was something untoward that had happened, some monster or some problem that had occurred out here. Earl called us to solve that because his tribute was not being delivered. Now, is that the case? Are you suffering under some tribulation that we can deal with? That is why we have come. If not, if you have simply decided not to pay tribute to the Earl anymore, then the situation is different.
And she looks at the others, the other marsh folk around her, and she says, the Great Mother is taking the fish. She takes the tribute.
Is that something you want to have happen? Is it something you agreed to? Or is it something that troubles you?
At which point the marshman who brought you here, brought Russel here, pipes up and says, "It is time for the marsh to strike back at them, Mother." And she cuffs him. "That is not for you to say," she lisps. The mothers make decisions. But we cannot go against. She looks at Cunobacha, she looks at Russel, she looks at Hoel, she looks at Icenius. We cannot stand against the Great Mothers.
So, do you need our help or not?
And one of the others, one of the deeper marsh folk, if you will, in terms of the way they look, he says, "Mother, more will come, as they did before. The men with the square shields came, and many of us died. If the mothers continue to take the fish, sooner or later we will not have fish." And she looks at Cunobacha and says, "We cannot stand against the Great Mothers. What you do is for you to decide."
I understand. Then what we do forward will be at no behest of you.
Indeed.
I would like to roll ancient learning to see whether my order knows anything of the Great Mothers.
Oh, let's see what you know of the Great Mothers.
So that is
Plus
sense.
sense.
So that's a +1. So that is a 7.
So on a 10 plus, GM answers the question. On 7 to 9, the teachings tell you of a task to be completed in order to gain the answer you desire.
So I first need to define a question, which is struggling for a question which makes sense in terms of a task to be completed.
Well, I'm very happy to give you a task to be completed.
Sure. I think what my question is about the nature of the Great Mothers in general. Like,
Yeah.
that was where I was going for.
Yeah, and I think what your order's learning, your lore, the lore of your order, tells you that in the time of the emperors, there were certain creatures who inhabited marshes and fenland and swamp, who were called the Great Mothers. And the Great Mothers were subdued by the Church of Mithras, the priests of Mithras that accompanied the troops of the emperor around the empire. And there is I will tell you that the only Church of Mithras, the only temple of Mithras that you ever saw marked on a map was at the southern end of this fenland on an island called Ely.
So I think I relay this. I relay this learning to the others and see what they think of it. I'm clearly of the opinion that we should go to Ely and to this temple of Mithras.
I will tell you that it's not very far from somebody I do know in the area, my previous lord, but it is Lord Magnus Wisbeck. That is very close to Ely, or Ely, but it is also quite close to Godfrey of Len. It's not too far from there either. So yeah, I'm willing. I sort of will know a little bit about that area, so I'm more than willing to go to Ely.
I will turn back and I'll bow to the mother and I'll look at the one who kind of spoke for us doing things. And I will say, we are going to go and visit temple. And then we may come back and as your guests, if we may, maybe at that time you might direct us on where we might travel from that point forward in the marsh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hoel, any views, any thoughts?
Yeah, I wonder. Hoel looks at the mother and asks, "So, are you interested in being freed from the Great Mothers, or are you their servant?"
I think
She won't answer that question.
I'll raise my hand I say, I'll look back, I'll say, I think that has been established, Hoel. We have an understanding. If we wish to carry out the tasks that the Earl set us to, this is the path we must go on. These are not our foes.
I was merely trying to get a job that pays something extra. But
what you're asking her is to commit against her gods in this, and she will not.
Yeah, I guess there are many gods in this. Yes, let's go and see
yeah.
this temple of
Mithras.
In Ely, it's a right shithole. Let's go there. It's right in the middle of
We
the
will
marsh.
turn back and we will say, there is one who also entered into the swamps who you may wish to send back or confuse or something. He is a terrible person.
He's no friend of ours or yours.
And to be honest, it's almost impossible to read in those little black penny eyes what she makes of that.
Okay, we've left it in there. Well, then let us get our boat and head southwards. Yes, Russell.
The magic that we saw in the Earl's Hall, did that come from here? Or is that the magic of the Great Mothers?
And
I'm willing to explain what we saw.
She looks at the man who guided you here and listen to him. What did you do? And
Struck at the Earl with the magic. He called the Mire up against the Earl.
He said they threatened us. Our village was burned. Our people are driven into the marsh, Mother. And it is clear that she is not at all happy with him as she picks him up by the throat and shakes him like a rag doll until his head and a bit of his spine comes out.
I think that answered the question. To the boats, my friend.
Thanks for the eels. We're going to go now. Oh, lampreys. I'm sorry, lampreys.
And so I think we'll cut then again to you on the flat bottom, a pair of flat bottom boats, I think, to just give you that flexibility, heading south towards the only high ground you can see. That must be the Isle of Ely.
I do say, Russell, I'm very glad you managed to get us out of there without having to turn over the cross. They didn't even bring it up in the conversation.
No. I'd laid a bit of groundwork for you, and yeah, clearly, you know, they'd looked through. I kept a good eye. They'd looked through Icenius's equipment, and it wasn't there. So, well done, Icenius, for hiding the cross upon your person. Hopefully, it wasn't a personal embarrassment.
Sorry, I've just remembered something I should have said when we came back, Bodhi. I'd missed your question in the chat. You can have a move from any unused playbook you like, including the monstrous. If there was any monstrous in play, then you couldn't have any of the monstrous playbook moves. But as there isn't, you can have one as long as you can make the fiction work.
Yes.
So let us cut then to you some way away. Now, yesterday, when you were making your way through the marsh, Hoel, you heard this kind of in the water. What do you do, Hoel, when you think something's following you under the water?
Well, it's an old trick I learned. That basically means we take a turn after some swampy tree or something, so that it loses sight for us for a moment. And while the others are like keep paddling, Hoel hangs by the tree and waits for this, what is following us under the water, to see it, and then jump down with the axe on it. Like, you know, that's the old school way.
So literally jump into the water on top of it. I just want to be clear what I'm seeing.
Yes, hang on the tree until the thing that is following us gets under me, and then jump down the axe. Like, it's clearly not a person, and I don't know.
Okay, go for it. Go for it. This sounds like straightforward fight.
So basically, we go under a low-hanging tree. You
Yeah.
jump off the boat
On the tree, yeah.
and we carry on, and then
Yes.
you drop onto it.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. Okay.
So for the sake of argument, I think I'm going to split. So who was on the boat with Hoel? Because there's 2 and 2. We got 2 flat bottom boats. So which one of you, Icenius or Cunobacha or Russel, wants to be on the boat with Hoel?
I would have tried to ensure I was on the same boat as Cunobacha, but I don't know.
Fine.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay, I'll be on the boat with Hoel, although I would like to put in play a temptation of sloth, because I would be doing exactly the same as when I went into the marsh with the Marshman. I don't really consider myself of boating stock.
Okay. So you're lying in the bottom.
My boat's now sort of adrift, because he was doing all the punting, and now he's basically stopped.
Okay, and so you're just drifting away.
Yeah, I'm sort of lounging, thinking, what the hell?
As Cunobacha and Icenius, rather more, with more purpose, push ahead. So
I think. Oh no, go on.
So
I'll say that.
You drop into the water with your axe and strike at this thing. Yeah.
Let's first see what it is, because we have seen that those.
Look about you.
Because we have just seen these people which are like partly fish, and maybe they're just following us. So who knows? Yeah, that's the idea. Because I just remember that myself I say monster killer, and I'm not sure if it's just a monster following us. So yeah.
Okay.
That's what we do.
So look about you, which is roll plus sense, unless you have something more specific to point me at.
It's a fat 5.
Oh, great. So you drop in the water, miss it, and I think that the first thing we know is when Russell shouts, "Something's got him!" Icenius, that's when you will hear there was a splash, a struggle, and then Hoel is dragged beneath the waters. Russell, what do you do? You are muted.
I will scramble around in the bottom of the boat and get my bow, and then try and sort of take some sort of kneeling, steady position on a floating boat. And I will sort of prep myself to try and help Hoel in the water.
Okay.
So I'll let Hoel describe something. I'll try and aid him with my bow if I can.
Okay, so Hoel, you drop into the water. Whatever you thought you were going to hit turns out to be a bit of weed. Whatever was in the water was next to that bit of weed, and has just turned on you and wrapped itself around you, and is rolling you under the water. What do you do?
Now it's clearly a monster with hostile intentions. So that's what so the first move was just scouting ahead. So now it's time to use those like massive muscles to like break myself free, and grab my axe before it drowns.
Well, I think then let's have. I think that's face danger with Savage, to be honest, to break free, unless you have something else you want to throw at me. And once you've done that, I'll ask Icenius and Cunobacha what they have in mind, if anything.
7 + 1, it's an 8.
Went in the right direction. So on an 8, you will Oh, it's too good not to have the axe drifting free and sinking down. You'll have to dive to get it. Mm-hmm. Or you can still be wrapped up in this thing's fond embrace.
Yeah, I had to break free, and the axe gets lost in the muddy water.
Fine. So you are free, but you don't have the axe until you can retrieve it. Icenius, Cunobacha. I'm kind of assuming that Icenius is doing most of the work. And Cunobacha is probably sitting looking back the way you've come. So I think Cunobacha will see all this happening first.
Can I say first of all that I've been engaged in kind of lecturing Cunobacha on using the Marshmen as an example of kind of the terrible things that can happen to you if you follow false idols.
I'm sure
And that's the point at which I go like this, like.
I think I don't notice for a sentence or two and then trail off eventually.
What do you do, Cunobacha?
I would like to try and cast out to seek out the mind of this monster.
Oh, go ahead. When you seek out the mind of a monster, the roll plus soul.
Right. And let me open up roll for your party. Okay, so I've got a +2. There's no penalties on it. So this could all go very well. It really could. That is a 9.
Okay, so on 7 to 9, unless you want to push it up.
No.
Okay.
No,
so you have one hole to spend to ask one of those questions or something closely related to them.
Let me think here. We can't see this thing from where we're at, right?
All you can see is churning water.
I think I need to know essentially what's it doing, what's it going to do next? What is it doing? What is its next intent?
Its intent is to eat.
I mean, is it following after Hoel, or is it coming up?
It's still got Hoel. No, Hoel broke free,
right?
Dropped the axe. It is going after Hoel as he kind of tries to orientate himself.
I will shout, "There's something in the water." As Hoel said, and he has broken free of it, and it is diving to try and latch onto him. Is there anything either of you can do?
You're on the spot, Russell. What do you? I mean, I'm not sure you needed Cunobacha to ask, but what do you do?
I'm willing to fire some arrows into this thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your objective to harm it or drive it off?
I think my objective is to. I'm probably actually more than willing to assist Hoel. Really, if he wants to fight it, I'll assist with that. So I'm probably going to look for direction from him.
Okay, so you're going to wait and see what happens. Icenius, what is your response to Cunobacha's cry?
Well, my instinct is to protect, as always. So I think two options are kind of occur to me, and they're warring in Icenius's mind. Do I turn the boat around, or do I put my knife between my teeth and dive into the water? I think I put my knife between my teeth and dive into the water to try to reach Hoel.
I think that's delightful. I just was checking whether you had ring mail on, but you don't. So you dive into the water with your knife and nothing else, just striking out towards Hoel. Okay, so unless
is Hoel sufficiently innocent for my playbook experience?
Well, we'll come to that in a moment
Yes.
later on, I think. So that's what happens, Cunobacha. I'm going to go back to Hoel, then I'll ask what other people are doing. So Hoel, you've broken free. You've wrestled your dagger from your belt. What do you do when something dark and toothed comes up out of the depth at you?
Yeah, I'm still under the water, yes?
No, you broke free. I'm content
Okay.
to have you surfaced, unless you want to be under the water.
No, I was just about to resurface anyway. So how does it work in your hack, Alan? Do we have to ask questions how to kill monsters? Do we don't have to ask questions how to kill
Ah,
monsters?
you just kill a monster. It may not work what you try, but you learn by experience.
Yeah. So basically, actually, knife is kind of like a little bit easier for this kind of monster because you have to dive in, you have to move, put your hand in the mouth, and then strike up to the brain.
Okay.
So that's how you deal with this kind of monsters.
Okay, let's see how that goes then, shall we? So this is roll to fight. So roll plus savage.
Roll plus savage. 9 plus 1 it's a 10.
It's a 10. I will remind you that you could, in this circumstance as a monster hunter, owe your gods a debt in order to improve that by one step, i.e. from 7 to 9 to 10 plus.
Yes, because I'm the monster hunter. I know how to deal with this
Absolutely.
kind of monsters.
You've killed bigger fish than this with just a knife. So there's a range of options for you. On 7 plus, you can exchange harm as established, or choose one of the effects from that first set of half a dozen bullet points, or you can choose 2 of those effects and ignore the exchange harm.
This should be a 12 now because it was a.
Oh, it was.
A 10.
It's a 12. I beg your pardon. You've got all the bullet points to play with. Thank you. Sorry, I knew I'd done something wrong in that sentence. So you have all those bullet points to play with, but the first decision is: do you want to use one of the successes you have to exchange harm with this? Those are big teeth, I will tell you.
Now that's a very weird question to ask because of course I don't want to exchange harm, but it's weird. Like.
You can inflict 1 harm even if you avoided exchanging harm. Some of these bullets are intended to help underarmed opponents against overarmed opponents, rather.
So if I choose the option spot a weak point, inflict 1 extra harm, it means that that we are still not exchanging harm, but my knife now deals 2 harm.
Yes.
It's so weird.
Sorry, no, you'd use the one underneath. You'd use inflict 1 harm, even if you avoided exchanging harm. In order to do the extra harm, you have to have exchanged harm. There has to be harm.
I'm using such a crappy weapon, so it doesn't really matter if I double this or not. Yeah, oh, so that's the only option if you don't exchange harm.
Yeah, so parry, 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 jab it a little bit, or jab it a lot, but get bitten.
Yeah, I spot weakness and inflict 1 extra harm. I mean, there's also an option to grievous wounds, but my harm is still 1, so it doesn't really do anything. The result is the same.
Yeah, really. Your fury drives your foe from the scene. Remember?
I'm down there with a knife in the mouth, stabbing up. It's a grievous wounds. It's still 2 harm, but it's grievous wounds.
Okay. So you do 2 harm on it, but you didn't exchange harm. So what I imagine is this thing coming up at you, you ducking underneath and jabbing up as it kind of flows over the top of you.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, I think Cunobacha and Russel, you will see it. This is a long, sinuous fish. You can't see any limbs or some kind of vast snake. It's unclear. Icenius, you are striking out towards it, but I will go first to Cunobacha.
Let me think for a moment here. I've already read into its mind. We're not convincing it. I think I'm just actually grabbing the pole and moving the boat over to try and if they need to be pulled up, I can pull somebody up out of the water.
Fine. So you return the punt to where next to where Russell is, or a bit further up maybe.
Yes.
Russell, you've seen this going on.
As it comes out of the water, then basically I've got what I would consider an okay shot, so I'll unleash an arrow into it.
Fine. It's only a fail that would hit Hoel.
I rolled a 6 and a 3, and I believe it's with Savage.
Tis.
So 9, 10, 11. That's good enough for me.
That is good enough for you. Exchange harm, but of course it's not anywhere near you. So you can exchange harm, and I can't remember. Does it do 2?
Yes, it does. Do I get any of those options?
You do. You roll 10 plus. You have one of those bullet points if you want it.
Let's go for the extra damage.
Fine. So, okay. Icenius, as all of this goes on, a couple of arrows thud into it, just as you get within striking range. What do you do, Icenius?
I think I'm going to fight as well. I'm trying to maneuver myself, so while it's distracted by arrows and knives through the jaw, I am trying to get behind it and kind of stab down into its brain effectively.
I want to see you grab hold of one of those arrows and go down with it. I want to see the white whale at work here.
Oh, yes.
So
that is what I do.
Let's have you roll to fight then.
Uh-huh.
I will say there is blood in the water.
That is 7 plus savage, which is 9.
9. Again, I will ask you, this is the kind of Sword of God stuff that I would give you, allow you to invoke your reputation.
I don't...
Can I first help?
So
I don't think that Hoel can help in this circumstance, because I think it's going to be very difficult to coordinate your attacks on it.
Okay.
Remind me what the consequence of evoking reputation is.
It only costs you a debt to your god. I mean, you're currently on 2. I've got no freeze. I got no freebies.
So I'm wondering whether to invoke reputation or play trained from youth. When you use a weapon to fight or protect someone, owe God a debt to inflict +1 harm or gain an extra 10 plus benefit, even if you roll 6 minus.
The options are multifold.
Yes, I'm trying to work out which one works better mechanically.
I'm not sure.
Actually, I think they work exactly the same. I think I'm going to, for flavour, I think I'm going to invoke Train from Youth.
Fine. So, you've got a debt. You do 1 extra harm or gain an extra 10 plus benefit. So
let's have a look. So I can exchange harm or choose a relevant effect.
Yep.
And I can either get 2 or exchange harm and 1.
Yep.
I think I want to force my foe to where I want it.
And where is that?
I think it's where it can be attacked by the others. So I'm forcing it to the surface.
Well, can I suggest then that what you want to do is to gain an advantage that can be passed to another PC, and that's how you describe it?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Because that's a mechanical advantage. Okay, Cunobacha, you've just about got up to where Russell is kneeling in the boat, but Hoel, I'm going to start with you. There is an advantage in play if Icenius is prepared to hand it to you. Yeah, he's nodding. So that would allow you to roll 3 dice and take the top 2.
Yeah, I'm just. Yeah, so can I use somehow the boat? No.
I mean, maybe Icenius just rolls it over, presenting its underside to you.
Yeah, it's time to fillet that fish, and we will have some dinner. So as he does it, I'm just like pulling. I'm just like going with my hand up in the air to get some momentum, and then strike down and open it up.
Fine. Let's have you fight. Roll plus savage.
And you say one more die, yes?
Yeah.
So that this one is the advantage. It will be different color. So that's 9 plus 1. It's a 10.
Okay. So on a 10, you can exchange harm, or you can have 2 off the list, the short list rather than the long list, unless you want to owe your god a debt and get the long list.
I think you already have. No, we just seen that the bigger list doesn't work with a knife.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm extending harm and I'm striking at the weak spot, inflicting 1 extra harm.
Fine. So that's a total of 2 harm, and that will see it disappear into the marsh, trailing blood behind it. Your axe is still down there somewhere.
Yeah, so
Let's try and find the axe.
So I'll probably say, well done, Icenius. It's good to fight alongside with you again. One moment, I need to dive for my axe. And
Okay.
I put the knife into the booth and I dive in to search for the axe.
I'll shout from my boat where I think it is. I'm going to try and help him.
Okay, that works for me. So you are on -2 help hinder because of your sloth, but you are now triggering that, so that will wipe that condition out. So off you go, Hoel. I think this is probably steel.
Sure.
Or maybe sense. I'll give you a choice. Sense or steel, or even soul if you think it's just a matter of good luck.
Well, steel is my best stat, but I think looking for something in a muddy water, it's. I'm going to say it's steel because it probably takes a little moment. You cannot like see it. You have to like be there like long enough. Probably like pull it for some stuff.
Exactly.
I'm going to say it's
steel.
12.
Grab it and surface, but I do need Russel to roll to help, having committed to that. So roll to help with -2. I think this is sense.
Ooh, you're a lucky man, Hoel. You're a lucky man. I rolled a 6 and a 2, so 8 -2 drags it down to a 6, but I do add 1 with my sense of 1, so it just about gets you a 7.
Okay, so that's fine. We have the axe. We've seen off the dangerous fish. It's 10 past the hour. Shall we be back at 15 the hour? I'll see you then. We're back for our final session, final part of the session. So I think as dusk falls, you are approaching the higher ground that you've been aiming for, which you've been identified as the Isle of Ely. And I'm very happy to cut to you pulling the boats out of the water up onto this drier ground, unless you've got something else in mind.
No. I do want to ask, as we're pulling the boats up, I'll look around at the group and I will say, so what does everybody know about Mithras? Anybody?
Nothing.
Mithras is a Roman god. That is complete speculation, by the way. I actually have got no idea if that's true. That's what I'll say. With confidence.
Okay.
As always, Russell says that with complete confidence.
Oh, well, okay. So we know that. That should help. Okay.
As I mentioned, the disciples of Mithras had a way to drive off the Great Mothers in the ancient days.
I was hoping with something more like, whatever you do, don't do this in a Mithras temple, that sort of admonition, or do this. But I don't think we have that at hand.
It's a church of hedonism. You need to go in there and make love to the priestesses and priests, and they'll give you all you want.
What you need at this point is the storyteller playbook, who knows this kind of shit. But alas, you do not. So head to the higher ground?
Yes.
Yeah. And on the higher ground, you will see a ruined building, a ruined stone building, which is quite unusual. Who approaches it first?
Then no one said anything, so I will go. I stride forward.
What unnerves you about this as dusk falls?
I think that the way that the temple is built with the stones and such, like they're weirdly angled, such that it almost looks like as the sun sets, the shadows kind of roil along the wall.
That's enough to unnerve anyone. Icenius, it's the teachings of your order that brought you here. What's your thinking?
I am imagining that we will be looking for either an artifact or some writing, and I think that I search. I think I switch off my alarm. I think that I search for either of those things and ask or tell the others to kind of start a search for those as well. Maybe like a flaming brand kind of held behind my head rather than in front, as all the fantasy shows do, kind of held behind and preserve my night vision and kind of scanning along the walls. And
so let me ask then. So does anyone have any particular way to come at this, or is this just time and effort?
I think Hoel likes to find some stuff on the side because, they're not always monsters. People not always space for monsters, and ruined churches. Maybe there is some hidden treasure. Maybe they had some cellar. So I marked greed. I'm looking for anything worth to be sold or to found here that we can sell later. So That's my particular way.
Okay, so
I'm searching for some underground vault. Maybe some saint was buried there, and there will be some gold.
Classic Saxon approach. So you mark greed. That means you can reduce the debt you owe your god by 1, and you disappear into the darkness looking for stuff. So Hoel's off looking for stuff.
I'll go check over there.
Cunobacha?
I think that I will sit down and I will draw out my blade. And I think that I will use power. And I will use power to observe another time.
Ooh, what a very clever idea.
I want to send back and see what I can see, perhaps draw inspiration, learn something about this temple.
Okay, so that's what you're going to do. What about Russell?
I think Russell will find a vantage point that will allow me a good area of fire to protect Cunobacha as he's sort of sat down clearly in the open. Yeah, so maybe hoy up a tree. Not that Ely is probably covered in many trees. Yeah, a vantage point so I can defeat anybody approaching Cunobacha.
I got 2 searchers, and I've got Cunobacha about to use his power, or their power. So what do we see then, Cunobacha?
And I think it is that I do that tracery, to kind of cut to wound myself to draw this in, and I think we see these sort of hounds come in from around in the shadows, and rather than being active or anything like that, that they settle down near me, like laying their heads down, like a set of them, and I'm in the middle of that, and my eyes roll back in my head, and I'm projecting my mind back in time, allowing Nodens to carry me.
Okay. And so shall we see how that goes? Because as your eyes roll back, you hear a whisper in your ear that says, "Little man, you call on me a lot. Beware you do not overuse your welcome in my hall, and Nodens will spend one of the debts that he currently holds over you to make you roll with disadvantage. So you can reduce the debt by 1, but you will use power with disadvantage.
Yes.
Do not squander my power, little one."
Submit. Well, that is an 8.
Okay.
If you hadn't had disadvantage on that, could have been a really wondrous.
Could have been
roll.
really good, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Now, you are a pagan mystic. You could always invoke your reputation and give me back that debt.
No.
So, on a 7 to 9, you successfully cause the effect, but on 7 to 9, the GM says what goes wrong. It lasts for less time than you'd hoped. And so what I think you see is around about you clarifies to a sunny morning, and a legionary with a procession of others is heading down from the Temple of Mithras. They've come up out. Go on.
I have one question, actually. If I, what does my soul move do in regards to this?
In the sense that,
so it says use power, and then it says what effect you want to do and roll. So my soul move is just the invoke power, use power.
It is.
Okay, and that's, oh, and those are extra things that I have.
So cause the effect, and if you go all the way down the bottom to the notes, there's a list of the effects and the details.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was getting confused. I thought for a second I was like, oh, everybody has used power, and then I realized no, that is my power. So
that is indeed, it is your power.
Yes.
So you see him, and he is carrying something in front of him, down, and it looks like he's about to turn round and show you what it is, and then it's gone. So he was carrying something down to the water in procession, and then your vision cuts off, because Nodens a bastard.
He is. Who is nearest me? Is
I think Russell said that he was keeping an eye on you, so I think so.
yeah. Then I'll call up and tell him that. Let us see if the others find something. If not, we can check what I saw.
Okay, let's cut to Hoel, who set off, I think, into the bowels. Now, this is not an enormous building. I would, it's a ruined, approximately square building, little more than foundations and fallen stone. Most of the tile has gone, overgrown, mounds that have overgrown over the last several hundred years. But there is, Hoel, a set of steps that go down. Now, given what you told me, I think you took those steps.
Yes, exactly. Just I want to ask because Icenius was taking a move from under their playbook.
Yeah.
I wanted to take magic. Oh my god, from the Fey magic attack. Anyone taking it or not?
I think you'd need to give me a fictional reason why you've got that now.
I'll be summoning the power of what is his name?
Of Woden.
I'll be summoning the power of
Whichever Saxon
Thunor.
god you Thor. Okay.
Thunor.
So you are becoming a channel of Thunor. Okay. So you can take that one. Is that the magical attack one?
Yes.
Fine. No, that's fine. You can have that. And you go down to this cellar area. Icenius, I think being a much more orderly minded individual, you are conducting a much more thorough look at these stones. And there are carvings on the stones. There might even be the hint of mosaics. But the trouble is that when the blocks have fallen, the mosaics are like a jigsaw. Trying to put them together is really difficult. So I think that's probably face danger with sense. Unless you have something else to throw in my direction.
No, I'm wondering kind of where the danger's from in this, just so I know where we're at. Otherwise, is it more look about me?
Look about you then, by all means.
Yeah.
By all means. Try and put it together, look about you. Fair point.
Yep. So roll that with sense. So that's 6 plus 1. That's a 7, but I'm wondering if this is something where I can invoke my reputation as a learned man.
Look, I think you could invoke this because you were sent here by God.
Okay.
If that's not a reason to invoke the sword of God, I don't know what is.
Mm-hmm.
So you can certainly pay God a debt. Good Lord, you are stacking them up.
Yes.
I am going to have so much fun with you next time. Yeah, you can absolutely invoke that and improve the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that gives you 2 to play with in terms of asking me about the location, the situation, blah, 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 or agree a detail to add to the scene.
So I think I want to agree a detail. I think that if it works for you, I want to find something that relates to not direct instructions, that would be too easy, but kind of maybe
No, I'll give you something.
Yeah, so kind of maybe a story about how the great mothers were kind of driven off, a kind of holy wisdom of the cult of Mithras, kind of written, carved into the stones.
Okay, I mean that you can just ask me that question. That's not create a detail, unless you want to create the details. The detail I was inclined to give you was that there, buried under a flagstone that has come loose, subsided, is a horseshoe.
Mm-hmm. Ah.
Ah, now do you want to ask me a question?
Is that horseshoe in fact what I already have in my cloak?
This is a second horseshoe of St. George.
Wow.
Let us cut to the basement where Hoel is grubbing about. This sounds like Look About Me, I think, Hoel, with the option to find something valuable, perhaps, if that's what you're after.
I think that's what would be cheesing the move. There is -2 to face danger. I think there is, I don't know, just let's create something. There is something that gives me to face some danger.
Oh, okay, right. That's the move is as written. It's not intended to always be disadvantageous, right? It's to
okay.
give you something to lean into. Don't feel obliged to put yourself in a position where you have to face danger.
Okay.
I'll do that later.
All right. The dice seem to have rerolled, but it's still a 10. So that's 12.
Which is bingo. So look about you. You'll see you can hold 2. You can ask me some questions, or you can create a detail. Might this be something you find connected to channeling the power of Thunur, I wonder, for instance?
But this church was raised by the Roman by the Romans who invaded England. Yes,
it was.
So I'm not sure where they. They don't seem like being of the same fate. So
if it allowed you to cast a thunderclap, you can associate with thunder wherever it originates.
I would like to find. Those are like. I'm not sure if they should be exactly golden, but maybe they are. Maybe they are silver bracelets.
Okay.
That a pair of bracelets that are like.
Pry off a corpse.
I'm afraid I did. There was like a sarcophagus. It was partially already destroyed due to the time and the conditions. I just like opened it and I can then acquire them for myself.
Fine. So make a note somewhere in your notes that you have a pair of these silver bracelets that are connected to the power of thunder.
Yes, I think. Oh my God, I have no idea what is the sign of Thunir, God of Thunder.
I think it is an inverted. It's a hammer, isn't it? It is Thor, to all intents and purposes.
Yes. So let's go with it. So on one of them, if you like put them like very close to each other, you will see that there's like a cloud and there's and like a handle. So like a hammer made of cloud and like connected with by the lightning. If you like connect them
works
together.
For me. Lord knows what Mithras made of it, but you are convinced that it is the sign of Thunur. That's good enough for me. Does that use up the look about you, or is there more? I can't remember.
Move. I think it was hold 2.
Yes.
What we can spend another hold on.
You can ask me questions about this place.
So I think it's already found something that will help us.
Yeah. I mean, if you're content, that's fine. If you think you've put the pieces together.
No, I did not, because I have a cat that is really crazy running around, and I'm not really focused on this. That doesn't hurt itself. So can you like briefly remind me what Icenius found? Do we need to find more?
Okay, so we have Cunobacha, who has looked back and seen a procession heading down to the water, and it looked like they were about to either throw something into the water or present something to the water. But then the vision cut off as they turned around, so he can't see exactly what it was that they were doing. Upstairs, we have Icenius, who has found a horseshoe that looks like it could be the twin of the one that was beaten into a dagger in the cross that he already possesses. There wasn't anything else there, was there, Icenius? No. And now you found these bracelets, these Roman era bracelets, that you are convinced are connected to Thunor.
I really wanted to. I would really like to find. I would really like to find something that will allow us to put this horseshoe story to understand it fully. So maybe like a very old, decrepit book that can contain us, that can tell us something.
It's much more likely to be carved on the side of that sarcophagus.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that what it does is it provides the other little connecting piece, which is that you see a group of legionaries presenting a horseshoe to the marsh, as if warding it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now the bracelets, the information, I can go to Icenius and tell him that maybe that's what we should do.
Unless anyone wants to do anything else, I think that's a decent point to pause, because I think you've put some of the pieces together, or you have some pieces that might fit together. And rather than try to do anything with that now, I think it's a good point to pause. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to have a quick scamper down the stars and wishes, if that's okay, please.
And XP.
Oh, and well done, that man. There's a man driven by advancement like my very self. So, yeah, let me start with Hoel. You did indeed invoke your reputation, so you can have one for that. Remind me when you addressed a challenge with cunning.
This entire plan about us with the marshmen.
Yes, of course. That started with you suggesting something to Russel, didn't it? Fine, so you another one for that. I think you have put yourself at risk for payment. You are still technically being paid by the Earl of Sinham to solve this problem. And you did put yourself in danger today, very precisely, with a large, slimy fish. So I think that's a third one. Moving along, Russell, did you not invoke your reputation as outlaw today?
I did not.
Put yourself at risk to cheat or steal. No, I don't think you did cheat or steal. You tried a couple of times, but I don't think it came off, did it?
No, I wasn't prepared to rob from Icenius, not yet.
No, not until the last scene, when he goes, "Oh yes, I have it." But I think you addressed a challenge with guile.
I think definitely the Marshman thing was quite.
The cunning plan was indeed surprisingly cunning.
It was quite cunning. Yes. Okay. Marked one. Thank you.
And then Cunobacha, you didn't invoke your reputation today.
No.
I think no, you didn't. You didn't put yourself.
I got talked down from.
You did.
I did.
Yeah, you're just sitting there with all your temptations full.
Cost me an XP.
But you did address a challenge mystically.
Yeah.
And our Sword of God, you did just invoke your reputation. Which innocent?
I wanted to ask that one. I'm not sure about. In the context in which I did it, was diving in to protect Hoel, protecting an innocent.
I think Hoel is some distance off innocent.
Yes.
If I'm honest. I think that's probably not going to apply to another player character unless they are absolutely helpless.
Yeah, agreed.
But I think that it was a courageous thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'd like to have a little quick stars and wishes. Let me start with Bodhi. Any stars?
Stars is for how everyone really played into their characters. I really enjoy it when that happens, and I think this game really encourages that in its mechanics. So kind of stars for that being encouraged and stars for that happening.
Great. Moving along, Lowell, any stars?
I really thought people did a nice job with going along with things, even when it was clearly not in their best interests. I was pleased to see Black Russell's plan get overly complicated and yet let pay off. I like the detail of Icenius lecturing me in the boat. And actually where Hoel is like, okay, we're going to set up this exchange, this escape plan in this way, because this is my intent. And Black Russell, okay, yeah, we're going to do that. But they're working together, but they're at cross purposes. And that was a wonderful bit there that felt really, really good.
Yes, no, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Paul.
I really like the little details that people bring to it. I've seen us putting the knife between his teeth and diving in, and then you checking for ring mail, Powell hanging from the tree and Lowell wanting to push his way out of the hut. Who'd have thought the sort of weakest member of the party would be the one pushing his way up? But no, really probably my biggest star, Alan, is the great sort of hard move of getting us out of the village really quickly. We could have. Who doesn't like a good let's talk about a plan? I could have done another hour doing that, and you were like, okay, yeah, you kill him, he's gone. Now let's. So I thought that was a really good sort of hard move, without sort of removing too much agency. It just moved it along. Very nice.
Yeah, the paralysis of the plan. We've got a cunning plan. Let's get on with it then. Okay, thank you for that. Wishes. Let me go. Sorry, Pavel. I haven't got as far as you with stars. Sorry.
Yes, I start to Paul for this. I did not expect he will try to scam Icenius for the dagger. That was like perfect. That was awesome. I really like how Body embodies the man of God and takes it onto himself to be the soldier of the God. It's really awesome. And yeah, I start to Lowell for showing the pagan magic today a lot, getting into the mind of the monster and then using power. It was really awesome. And I had to repeat what Paul said. Alon, the way you framed. I played a session last month that ended the campaign because we died in planning. You just like basically the campaign ended with that because we died in planning. You just like get it, and I mean died. Meaning we were so bored of planning that the campaign died. And today you just made it like, okay, cut the rope and go, and then following and then trailing them, and we basically got very quickly from the city to the Marshman village, and it was like good. And everything. It was great framing. So that's my star.
Thank you for that. Let me go back round. Any wishes for next time, Bodhi?
Well, I'm a sucker for kind of mythic things, and it occurs to me that that the horseshoe in its original form and the horseshoe made into a dagger associated with St. George kind of feels like a mythological sword and shield. So I'd love to play with something around kind of that sort of area.
I'll see what I can do. Lowell, any wishes for next time?
I've got the new move I took, the Whispers in Their Mind, which is really about helping other people, to give them advantage on figuring things out. So I'd like to be able to get that move on the table. It might not be till later, especially if we're fighting monstrous things at the start, but I do want to try and get that out.
Fine. I'll try to get us to that before we finish. Paul, anything particular? As if I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would. Well, there's the always killing innocents. I mean, who doesn't like that?
No, I thought it would be steal a cross.
Well, no, exactly. I was about to say I have invested my XP in the thief skill. It would be a damn shame not to use such a skill.
I have to say, given that I put up a session for GauntletCon of one shot of this called, There's Trouble at the Abbey, this cross cannot go home at the end of this session, next session. Pavel, any wishes?
I would like to learn what became of the box because it was stolen. What became of it? I would like to see us somehow using the horseshoe and the other horseshoe, and I would finally like to use this Monster Hunter move because I still have no idea how and when to use it. So I would like to see it being used.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is, if you simply, for instance, if you wanted to say today, if you had thought you were being followed by something in the water and had said, right, we will stake it out. That's what I thought you were going to do. I thought you were going to hang from this tree and observe it and create some fictional positioning to activate a trap. Instead, you went straight for the kind of, blood in the water.
The problem is that when you agreed to hunt a monster and nobody wanted us to hunt this monster, so it was like kind of like...
Okay, fair enough. Well, I will read it as loosely as I can. If it helps to rephrase it as when you want to spring a trap on a monster, that might be simpler. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll do my best. Because I would quite like to see it used as well, given I've just invented it. Okay, thank you, folks. I will stop the recording, so wave bye-bye to the internet.